last week that Variety article came out that talked about what was going on with the present and the future of DC movies. And in there was some Superman-centric information where the writer claimed that Warner Brothers was looking for a way to make Superman relevant to modern audiences, which a lot of us thought was weird because Superman's already relevant in many of our opinions. And if you don't think he is, it's pretty easy, I think, to adapt Superman to modern audiences to make him relevant. Now, I'm going to give Warner Brothers a benefit of the doubt that, this writer could have gotten things wrong. I think it's bizarre that Warner Brothers wouldn't know how to make or has trouble making Superman relevant. So I'm going to say that maybe this writer just phrased things incorrectly when he was writing it. Because I don't think the reason we haven't had a Superman movie in a while is because, Warner Brothers has problems adapting the character per se. I think a lot of it has to do with contract negotiations and stuff going on with Henry Cavill. Otherwise, there probably would have been another Superman movie out by now. But anyways, assuming that Warner Brothers does have problems making Superman relevant, people on Twitter, many of whom are experienced, seasoned genre and comic book writers, have some ideas. And I'll talk about some of my own. But first, let's look at this tweet from Neil Gaiman himself, famous, celebrated writer of Sandman and other prestige projects. He sent this one tweet. You don't make it relevant, you make it inspiring, right? And what does he mean by that? Well, Superman, as everyone knows, is a symbol of hope. I think he's the biggest symbol of hope of all superheroes, right? So a Superman story should present him as a character who inspires us to be our best, right? Superman is, the big blue Boy Scout, for lack of a better phrase. It's one of the nicknames people have for him. A goody two-shoes superhero. In most cases, right? He just wants to help people. He wants to do great. He wants to be his best self and wants other people to be their best selves too, right? So if you're an experienced Hollywood producer, executive, or writer, you should be able to write a storyline with that kind of character in the lead role, right? I mean, it shouldn't be that hard. I mean, a lot of people argue that Captain America is basically a modern version of Superman today. Now, that's debatable. Some people do not think that. But regardless, Captain America strives for positive ideals and wants to fight for what's right, which is the same kind of stuff Superman wants to do, right? So if they can do it for Captain America, why can't they do that for Superman? Let's go into another tweet here from writer Gail Simone. Gail Simone is a famous writer. She's done a lot of work for Marvel and DC, but she's more famous, and she's with Lion Forge right now. But she's most famous for DC work. She put a tweet here where she said, "Good Lord, it is not that tough. People want their heroes to struggle, to break a sweat, and to overcome the odds. Give him a goddamn challenge and watch him show his mettle. Knock him down, watch him find a way to stand. Then he is the best hero." So basically she's saying, Superman, you do what you do with any character. You present him with a challenge, he struggles to overcome the challenge, and then he defeats it. Now, a lot of people say, well, Superman's too powerful. It's hard to write challenges for him. But Marvel hasn't had any problems doing that with Captain Marvel. If you saw Captain Marvel in Avengers Endgame, she's basically being written as Marvel's Superman, right? She's virtually unstoppable, at least so far. But her first movie made over $1 billion. And when she showed up near the end of Endgame in that final confrontation with Thanos, people cheered and roared as she showed up on the screen. And she basically behaves power-wise in the way she, charges through problems and bursts through things the way Superman would, right? So again, you could write Superman, I guess, like Captain Marvel if you're having trouble. A lot of us wouldn't want Superman to be written anything like Captain Marvel in terms of personality. But what I mean is, him being overpowered, I think that's a false argument, right? Because Captain Marvel is an overpowered superhero the way she's written in the MCU. And, Marvel's not going to have any problem putting her in multiple movies going forward from what we've heard. Now, I favorited some tweets or saved them from some other people who wanted to put some parallels between Superman and Clark Kent and what they represent in today's society, right? Superman, Kal-El, is from a different culture, right? He's an immigrant from the planet Krypton who comes to Earth a different country, you could say, even though it's a different planet, and becomes a journalist to fight for truth and corruption with his pen or his keyboard, so to speak. Now, that's similar to what you say a lot of journalists today do who are writing about the truth, trying to expose corruption. And who are corrupt people? Well, a lot of people are saying billionaires, like Lex Luthor, right? So you basically have the plot of a Superman story right there, things to compare to. Let's get into some tweets that make that comparison. Here's one from Stephen Lumpkin, who says, "Boy howdy, if there's a superhero that's difficult to make relevant today, it's checks notes. An alien in America who believes in the good of all people and stands up for what's right, even in the face of hyper-rich CEOs and a government actively hunting him." James O'Malley adds to this by saying, "Lex Luthor realizes he can't physically outmatch Superman, so instead uses a disinformation campaign to destroy not just Superman's reputation, but the idea of Superman. The twist is that it isn't Superman that can beat Luthor, it's journalist Clark Kent." So there's a lot of parallels here, right? You know, Clark Kent is a journalist who wants to help people by exposing corruption or, talking about injustices. His arch nemesis is a billionaire 1%er who benefits from like a system that's rigged against the common people. Meanwhile, Superman's big and powerful. He's a Superman physically. Lex Luthor, as a wealthy billionaire, is a Superman in a way, because a lot of us, the superpower that we want, we think of wealth as its own superpower, right? So there's two Supermans of sorts fighting. But Clark Kent can take down the evil billionaire Lex Luthor, with his journalism by exposing things, right? Corruption. I mean, a lot of it is all right there in what I've been talking about in this video. So it does seem bizarre to a lot of us if it's true that Warner Brothers is having a problem making Superman relevant for today's audiences. As I said in the beginning of the video, I don't know if it's true that Warner Brothers has any problems making Superman relevant. That's just the way that writer wrote, that sentence. Is it true or not? And as I said, if they weren't having so many contract problems or money problems with Henry Cavill and how much to spend in the movie, we probably would have already gotten the Superman movie right now if there's really contract problems with Henry Cavill. So, does Warner Brothers really have a problem making Superman relevant? Who knows? I don't work for Warner Brothers. I can't say that. But if they have trouble figuring that out, I hope they watch this video and has seen, the tweets and stuff that I've, talked about on this video that have circulated on the internet. Because it's all right there in the comics and in the old movies. That all they have to do is look through their own library of the comics they own the rights to, and the way to do Superman is right in front of them. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.